Well, a little bit of rain isn't going to hurt anybody. We are here in Cincinnati, Nippert Stadium, to bring you our 2024 Cincinnati college football prediction. Arguably, to me, one of the prettiest stadiums and prettiest cities in the Big 12. Cincinnati now is entering their second year in the conference. The first one without Luke Fickell as well, didn't go as planned. First year under Scott Satterfield, first year in the Big 12, the Bearcats go just 3-9, 1-8 in conference play, but they were a lot better than that final record showed. The Bearcats had 4 one-possession losses and actually outgained their opponents in 7 games. But they went just 3-4 in those games. If you look at what they've got coming back this year, 8 starters back on offense. One that was mediocre, 24.1 points per game in 2023. They averaged over 217 rushing yards per game with their running back in Corey Kiner, who rushed for over 1,000 yards last season. He returns this year along with an elite, loaded offensive line. It could be one of the best offensive lines in the conference this year. Brendan Sorsby transfers in at quarterback from Indiana, threw for over 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns during his time with the Hoosiers just last year. Their top wide receiver, Xavier Henderson, returns after having over 780 yards last year. They also add Tyron Smith, the wide receiver from UTEP, who had over 1,800 yards during his time with the Miners. The defense, going to be a lot better this year, although they do lose a lot of talent. They add a new defensive coordinator in Tyson Velt, the former linebackers coach at Iowa State from 2016 to 2023, now coming into Cincinnati to implement the 3-3-5 defense. 7 starters back on that side of the ball. They do lose 5 of their top 6 tacklers from last year, but they are anchored by the Godfather, Dante Corleone, up on the defensive line. Second team Big 12 last year, but as of recently, out indefinitely with some health issues. Found some blood clots in his lungs. Our thoughts and prayers going to be going out to Dante and his family. Hopefully that he can get back on the field for the season, if not by the beginning of the year. Definitely hoping to by midseason. But if he plays, he's one of the best defensive linemen in this conference. Jack Dingle, though, does return at linebacker. Very solid secondary with 5 transfers coming in, 4 of them at the safety position. This is a team, guys, that's going to be a lot better than last year and probably should have been better than that record showed last season as well. Let's take a look at who Cincinnati's up against. They're going to beat Towson in week 1, no doubt about that. Then they get Pittsburgh in week 2. Mark them up as a win against the Panthers. They beat Pittsburgh on the road last year, 27-21. As an upset, they were nearly a touchdown underdog, and they found a way to go on the road and win that game. I'm still not sold on Pittsburgh. Still not a huge fan of their offense right now. I think they're going to go through some growing pains with a new offensive coordinator. The Panthers fall here at Nippert Stadium. Cincinnati is 2-0, and let's make them 3-0 with a win over Miami, Ohio. Now, last year, they saw their 16-game winning streak against the Redhawks come to an end, losing 31-24 in overtime. But they outgained them by nearly 200 yards. 538 yards of offense, still lost the game. Why? Because they had a turnover on downs at the 1-yard line, and they had to settle for 3 field goals inside the 10. One of those is a touchdown, and Cincinnati wins that game. So even though Miami, Ohio, the reigning MAC champions, is going to be a lot better this year, very, very good this year, they're not going to have enough to come on the road or come and beat Cincinnati for the second year in a row. So they're 3-0. They're 4-0 with a win over Houston. They beat Houston last year. Cincinnati wasn't that great last year, and they still found a way to beat a Cougars team that's not going to be nearly as good this year as they were last year. And they really weren't all that great last year. First year under Willie Fritz, a rebuilding period for this program. Cincinnati, here at home, takes down Houston, and the Bearcats are 4-0. Within the first month of the season, within the first 4 games of the year, we have Cincinnati already topping last year's win total and maybe thinking of maybe contending in the Big 12 in just their second year. Remember, Scott Satterfield is a program builder. He's not a miracle worker. We saw that last year. We've seen that during his time at App State and Louisville, but give him time and he can build a team. Then the bulk of conference play starts. So they go on the road to Texas Tech. That's where the Bearcats take their first loss. Baron Morton, Taj Brooks, who rushed over 1,500 yards last season, an offense as a whole that is ultimately going to be too good for this Cincinnati team that is loaded with transfers in the secondary. Give them time to gel. This is going to be the best offense they see to date within the first 4 games of the year, and playing in Lubbock is never easy. They drop a game to the Red Raiders heading into their bye week at 4-1. Then they go on the road to UCF, who they lost to by just 2 points last year, 28-26. They outgained the Knights, 515 yards to 393. But allowed 4 sacks and were -2 in the turnover margin. So once again, kind of like Miami, Ohio, it was mistakes that plagued Cincinnati in that game. But unlike our pick in the Miami-Ohio game, we're still sticking with the Knights here. Orlando, not an easy place to play. It's not called the Bounce House anymore, but I'm going to keep calling it the Bounce House. KJ Jefferson transfers in from Arkansas. RJ Harvey is back with over 1,400 yards on the ground last year. 2 of their top 3 wide receivers and a defense that should improve with 8 starters back. Cincinnati falls to their former American rival and now their current Big 12 rival. They get some relief, though. Back here at home, they take on Arizona State. An Arizona State team that's still in a massive rebuild under Kenny Dillingham. They have major quarterback issues. This is where the Cincinnati defense flexes their muscles. They beat the Sun Devils by double digits, and I think the Sun Devils will be lucky if they can eclipse 14 points in this game, especially with home field advantage. Then the last couple games of the year are tough. At Colorado, West Virginia, at Iowa State, at Kansas State, TCU, some really difficult games there. Cincinnati's just got to win one of them, just one of them to go bowling. And I think that would be considered a successful season to get to the postseason in just year 2 in this conference and year 2 through this transition. I'm here to tell you right now, I think they lose their next 3 games. I think they lose to Colorado and this reloaded defense. The Buffaloes were atrocious last year, and I will always take Scott Satterfield over Deion Sanders on the sidelines any day, but Shedeur Sanders owns the quarterback edge. I think Colorado, wide receiver-wise, might even own that edge. Defensively, edge goes to Cincinnati, but Colorado's defense is going to take a major step forward, and they've got home field advantage. Give me the Buffaloes to take care of business in Boulder. They get a bye week. They come back home to take on West Virginia, a West Virginia that returns not 1, not 2, but 3 700-yard rushers from last season, one of which is their quarterback in Garrett Green. This is just a team that is too strong on the ground and is too strong on the front 7 defensively for the Cincinnati offense to hang with, even with home field advantage. They then go on the road to Iowa State. Ames, it's a tough place to play. And this Cyclones team, 19 starters back. They weren't supposed to be nearly as good as they were last year. They were dealing with off-season scandals, they were dealing with youth, and they surprised a lot of people under Matt Campbell. When does he not? Iowa State now in Ames with this much talent back, also after beating Cincinnati by 20 points last year. They fall to the Cyclones on the road. They fall to Kansas State on the road. Manhattan, not an easy place to play. A dangerous running attack again with Avery Johnson, DJ Giddens, and 8 starters back on defense, which is always a strength under Chris Kleiman. They fall to the Wildcats, which means here at home, Nippert Stadium, we have a winner-take-all. If they can beat TCU in the season finale, they will go bowling. If they fall, they go to 5-7 and miss out on the postseason again, even though they did improve in the win total. And I'm here to tell you that today we are predicting Cincinnati to go bowling. I believe they close out the year with the win against TCU on senior night here at Nippert Stadium. This is a TCU team that has 1 starter back on the offensive line. Sure, they bring in tons of transfers trying to replenish that. That's great. But 1 starter back on the offensive line, I think they're going to struggle up front. They gave up 155 rushing yards per game. Corey Kiner has himself a day on the ground. With their backs against the wall, Cincinnati delivers, and the Bearcats are going bowling in 2024. Big step forward in year 2 under Scott Satterfield, and we can't wait to watch them in action. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube, live from Cincinnati, Nippert Stadium with the Bearcats. We've got them going to the postseason. Leave your thoughts down below. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes those expert picks. Don't miss out on some of the best spread picks in the entire country. The links for that all down in the description below. Become a member of our GE Nation, ever-growing GE Nation, as we continue to travel the country, bringing you some of the best predictions in the country. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.